Over the last 30 years, more than 10 million children have been saved from polio, a paralyzing disease that still threatens children in parts of the world today. In 1988, 350,000 kids per year were crippled by polio. A global movement to end the disease has slashed that number by 99%. Last year, the world only saw 350 polio cases. While this is a monumental achievement, it's not good enough. Those kids will never have the chance to run or jump or to play, all thanks to a disease which is completely preventable. How do we stop polio forever? How do we ensure that no child has to suffer this disease ever again? It's easy to help. Spread the word, donate, or simply take this opportunity to learn more. Let's make history together and end polio now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. We're very glad you're here. It's been 2 weeks. I hope you all enjoyed your business visitation day last week. While everyone is standing and I at least theoretically have your attention, I want to make sure that you know about our order of events today. Our speaker, Dr. Gist, will be arriving very shortly. We currently plan for her to start about 12:15 and end about 12:45. We will have some club business after 12:45, so don't scoot out when the speaker's over. I would appreciate that. Otherwise, you're going to miss some really fun stuff, I promise. We do have some fun and some important club business. So let's get started. We'll have Matthew Bristow with our invocation. Phil Armstrong will lead us in the song and pledge, and Lou Ann Buehlinger will introduce our visitors. So let's get started, Matthew.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we offer thanks to you for bringing us together in Rotary, for fellowship, encouragement, and accountability, working together to serve the needs of our community. We thank you for our meal and for the service of those who have prepared it, and keep us mindful of those who are hungry today in need of the basic amenities we take for granted. We ask for encouragement today for our speaker, Deborah Gist, and all those who are working in Tulsa Public Schools for the benefit of our children, the future of our community. And we also pray for those in Oklahoma, the U.S., and around the world who are persecuted and suffering and in need. Open our hearts and minds to opportunities to help others and guide us to use our many blessings that we have been gifted to those who need our help and who are less fortunate than us in this room. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Let us sing about liberty and freedom today. My country, 'tis of thee. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where our fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a seat. Welcome. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. We are so happy to have so many guests here today. When you hear your name and that of your host Rotarian, if you'll please stand up for a few minutes, or a few seconds, so that we can connect your name with your face, and we will hold our applause until the end, and then after that, we'll introduce our visiting Rotarians. First up today, Dana Drummond is a guest of Doug Walker. Please stand. Thank you. Rob Walters is a guest of Bob McKenzie. Daniel Keating is a guest of Martin Keating. Casey Tarp with Beck Design is a guest of Roberta Preston. Ann Burlingame is a guest of Bob Burlingame. Karen Gaddis is a guest of Bill Gaddis. Kuma Brown Roberts, did I get in the right order, is a guest of me. And she has a guest named Najam Sahar from Pakistan, and she's here with Tulsa Global Alliance. Arnie Mitchell is here with Tim Knoll of We Be Trees. Shauna Mott-Wright, who's the Vice President of Tulsa Classroom Teachers Association, is here with Diane Peacock. John Remington of Tulsa County is here with Michael Willis. Brandy Lamons is a sister of Lindsay Sparks, is here today. Royal Ailes is with Karen Keith, and he's with RSU TV. Tom Walsh with Sepulpa Schools is here with John Raines, right up front. Beverly Monette is here with Lauren Monette. Tom Neff, Senior Vice President, is here with Graydon Yohe. Bryant Bynum is here with Tim Colwell. Bryant is with Blue View. Hi, Bryant. Kim Cook is here with Bob Sade. Kim is Bob's daughter. Walker Hansen with 3CG Records is here with John O'Connor. And Mike Mills of the University of Tulsa is here with Susan Neal. Welcome, visitors. And now for our two visiting Rotarians from the Sunrise Club, we have Joe Gaudet. And we have Mina Lee from the Rotary Card of Jakarta. Welcome, everyone. Come back again.
Thanks, everyone who helped us start our program so well. So we have a moment we want to take right now for a little staff recognition. So if Margaret, will you make your way to the stage? As Margaret makes her way to the stage, for those of you who are new to the club or maybe visiting, I should explain that Margaret has worked in the office of this club for the past 2 years as a part-time contractor. She was hired to fill some gaps on a temporary basis, and temporary turned into a gig that's lasted, what, 2 years? Yes. Who knows what 2 years and temporary are the same thing. Strange. And Margaret will now be leaving the office as a contractor, but of course she's the wife of one of our best Rotarians, Ron Butler, and so we look forward to seeing you, Margaret, maybe even every week in another role. You've been a real trooper, and we want to thank you for your service. And Donna is at the large club conference, as you know, and she wanted to say a few things, so she and the staff made a little thank you video for you to watch.
Hi, Margaret. On behalf of the staff, I want to thank you so much for your help when we were shorthanded. Your expertise has been so very helpful and very much appreciated. We wish you well, and I'm sorry I'm not there today. I am at the Large Club Conference, so I wanted to record this message and send you our well wishes. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, Margaret. Bye, Margaret. Good luck in all you do.
Something, yeah. Margaret, you've been an important part of the staff, and but what we're most grateful for is that you have been and always will be a friend of all of us, and we greatly appreciate your service. So we have a couple of gifts, and I want to give those to you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you very much.
And the flowers from Mike Fine and Fine Airport Parking. All right, a couple of committee meeting reminders. Today, the Board of Directors will meet in room 232. We will not take too long, those of you who are on the board, but we would like you to have you there if you can. And the Yearling Service Project group will meet in room 233. And speaking of the Yearlings, look for an announcement soon about the first Yearling Service Project. This is a new thing for the club. We're really excited about it. Great things are happening, and so you'll want to make sure and pay attention and look out for that. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our Rotarian of the day, Paula Wood. Paula is the Director of School and Community Relations at Tulsa Public Schools. She joined the Rotary Club of Tulsa in December of 2010. She serves on the board of directors of this club as our Youth Service Director, and she is a Paul Harris Fellow. Please welcome our Rotarian of the Day, Paula Wood.
Thank you, President Jeff. I so appreciate that. So I would really like to introduce Dr. Deborah Gist, Superintendent of Tulsa Public Schools, and I know that you want to meet her, but let's kind of do this in a fun way. So if you will just look at the screen for a second, please. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Isabella, and I am a sixth grader at Celia Clinton. I am very glad that my principal has chosen me to introduce the superintendent at today's Rotary Club meeting. Hi, everybody. Dr. Deborah Gist is new and used to be a commissioner of education in Rhode Island, and that's really far from here. She also used to work in Washington, D.C., where the United States President lives, and that's far too. Dr. Gist used to be a teacher a long time ago. Maybe one day she'll come here and talk to us about being a teacher. We have lots of great teachers in our school. When she was growing up, she went to elementary, middle, and high school in Tulsa. She went to the University of Oklahoma to learn how to be a teacher. She also went to the University of South Florida and Harvard to learn the education laws. Then she became a doctor in the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Gist likes to go to lots of meetings and do lots of important things. She was in a magazine like this. Because they said that she was influential and picked 100 people to be in the magazine. She has a husband and 2 doggies. We are very proud she is our superintendent, and I am happy to welcome her to Rotary Club. I can't wait to see you all at Celia Clinton. Bye, everybody.
Wow, that's a first. That was great. Yes, I was a teacher a long time ago. It does feel like a long time ago, but you never leave the classroom, really. It is so great to be here. I have heard so much about this Rotary Club. And among other things, I keep hearing of different people who are part of this particular club. And then I've also heard about how many people are in this Rotary Club. And I will tell you, I have been to a lot of Rotary Clubs over the years and in different jobs that I've had. I've never seen one this big. So that is really cool and really special for me to get to be here with you all. And I appreciate you inviting me. I want to just thank you for everything that you do in your community service, but in particular, I know that the students and the teachers and the leadership at Celia Clinton are so grateful for the support that you provide to them. You know, it really does take all of us working together to get this done. And there are lots of reasons why I'm incredibly enthusiastic about what we're doing here in Tulsa, but one of them is because we have so many engaged Tulsans who are focused on our public schools, who know why it matters that our students succeed, and who are committing of themselves to be a part of that success. I hope that you know how much I love this city, and some of you may have heard me talk about this before, but I feel like in so many ways, while I left Tulsa 30 years ago, I've been kind of an ambassador for the city, in that I'm constantly telling people, you know, as I have lived in different states and traveled, what a beautiful, wonderful place this is. Physically, I just think it's a beautiful city, but also the people and really the heart of this city is something that means a lot to me, and I'm a big, big fan, so I'm thrilled to be home. You may or may not know that my grandparents were teachers in Oklahoma. In fact, my grandfather was a superintendent in Lacey, Oklahoma. And as Isabel told you, I went to school in the Tulsa Public Schools. I went to Salk, Carnegie, and Grimes. I went to Nimitz Junior High School and Memorial High School with Dana. So it's fun to be home and to get to see people I've known really my whole life, and that's really awesome. And while I was at Memorial, Mrs. Gaddis was my algebra teacher. She's here with us today too. And in fact, tonight I'm giving a talk at, there's this program called Math X that's like, it's like a TED talk, but it's specific to math. And I'm talking about Mrs. Gaddis in that speech, so the timing of that is really fun. So yes, I went to OU, Boomer Sooner, and it's super fun to be home and get to be a part of games or watch them on TV with my mom when they're on an away game. It's just great to be home. But if you've heard me talk, you know that my excitement about being here is about being home, but it's also, and importantly, it's about the fact that we have an opportunity in Tulsa to be a model school district for the country. And that is not just one of those things that, how people say things like that. I truly, truly believe that. We have all the conditions that we need. We do have some barriers. Funding, and our state funding is a big one, but we have so many things going for us, and one of them is the quality of the people in our community and the commitment that you all have to public education. We have a lot of exciting things happening in Tulsa Public Schools, and in a minute I want to talk about the future, but for just a second I want to talk to you about the last few months or so, because we've had some really early successes building upon some great work that Dr. Ballard and his team have done in Tulsa Public Schools, and so I want to just share some of the things that happened. We decided, and I declared to everyone, that we were going to have not just a regular smooth start to school, because you never want to, as a brand new superintendent, have something go wrong on the first day of school, like, the books don't show up or something like that. That's never good. So one thing is you want to make sure everything goes smoothly, but we wanted to do more than that. We wanted to be sure that we had an exceptional opening to schools. And we had a few curveballs thrown, namely that we did more renovation projects this summer than Tulsa had ever taken on before, which I didn't know until they were close to, being done, because I came in the summer. But it was a big lift, and indeed some of them weren't ready at the start of school. But what we experienced through that is it was almost honestly like a barn raising. It was the way in which people came together to support those teachers. Shauna and I were out in classrooms helping teachers unpack their boxes because they didn't have access to their classrooms. We were moving furniture. And so many people were out. We had volunteers. We had people from my office. We had other teachers helping teachers. It was parents. It was really inspirational to see that kind of commitment and that kind of caring and support of one another, and really built our team in so many ways. One of our biggest successes that was part of our exceptional start to the school year was that we had a teacher in every single classroom. Now, you might think to yourself, if you're not close to the public school system, you might think, so shouldn't you always have a teacher in every classroom? And that would be a really logical thing to say, because we should. It should be a given that we have a teacher in every classroom. It should be a given that we have an awesome teacher in every classroom. But what we know is that we were 1,000 teachers short in Oklahoma last year and this year. Oklahoma City started with 50 vacancies this year. Edmond, I saw about a week before school started, had 50. I'm not sure where they ended up on the first day. Last year we had 77, and when I was transitioning in the spring, we still had 50. So it was a big lift for us, but we did it. We hired about 500 teachers, which is close to 20% of our workforce. So those of you who are business people can imagine that having that kind of turnover, because it was about 300 or 400 last year, about 300 or 400 the year before. We have a lot of people who are very new to our schools, and they need a lot of support. But it was a big improvement. And we didn't do it just by hiring anybody. In fact, our ratio increased significantly for the number of applicants that we had per hire. But we have a lot more work to do in Oklahoma. And in fact, oh, hey Amanda, you have my bag. In my bag, I have a strategic plan from 1956, and I'll show it to you in just a second, from Tulsa Public Schools. And there's some things in there that like took me aback. So one of them is talking about the need for more people to be skilled at math and science. Sound familiar? 1956, folks. And talking about how we need more quality math and science teachers. And then there's this, are you gonna bring it to me? And then there's this other, because I want to show it to you. Because I want you to know I'm really for real. I'm not making this up. And then there's this one part, there's a chart in there. Oh, never mind. It's okay. I forgot. It's in my car. It's okay. You just have to trust me. I thought she had my bag. She doesn't. It's in the back of my car. I'll bring it next time. You'll just have to trust me. But there's a chart in this strategic plan from 1956 talking about the teacher shortage and talking about the salaries of teachers. And it has a chart that shows all the nearby metropolitan areas in the surrounding states in Oklahoma City and what they pay. And then it has Tulsa, and it has the only city at the time that was below us was Wichita. And the salaries were like $3,000 or something. And it was saying that, we have to pay our teachers more. And then in 1988, when I graduated from OU, I left Oklahoma to go to Texas to teach because I could make about $4,000 or $5,000 more a year if I went to Texas. And now it is 2015, and the same thing is happening. We are having the same conversation that we were having 60 years ago. We have to do something different, folks. Our teachers deserve more, and our students deserve more by having teachers that are compensated like the professionals they are. Yeah. And some people will say, they'll talk about there's a teacher shortage nationally. This is not just a problem in Oklahoma. And there are some states that have a teaching shortage. I think Florida, I think Tennessee a little bit. But most of the time when people talk about a national teaching shortage, what they're talking about are shortages in specific areas. Like it's really hard to find science teachers, especially physics. In Oklahoma last year, do you know how many people left a teacher preparation program certified to teach physics? 4 in the entire state. And so there's a shortage of physics teachers everywhere. But if you look at our shortages, we have shortages across the board. We have shortages in early childhood education, which is what I studied. We have it in elementary. And so we don't have a teaching shortage across the country of elementary school teachers. In fact, I just read something in Forbes that was talking about Connecticut. And in Connecticut, they had a ratio of 24 applicants for every one elementary school position, and our ratio is 3-to-1. So we know that we have a much more acute challenge here in our state. I know that our state cares about teachers. The sense that I get from people all across Tulsa is that people recognize that this is a really big challenge. What we have to do is work together to make sure that there's a solution on the horizon. There are a number of different possibilities, and I'm not here to tell you which one of those you should support or advocate for. I'm just here to make sure that you know what a big challenge this is and how much we need to do something about it. So our state superintendent has proposed adding 5 days to the school year because we also have a much shorter school year than most districts across the country, and then adding, I think it's called the 5x5 or something plan. So it's 5 extra days for $5,000 a year. And then you probably saw the news about President Boren has put forth a proposal. And so there are a lot of different possibilities, but whatever it is, we have to do something. We did take a tiny baby step forward this year, working with TCTA. We worked together on our contract negotiation, and we had a small increase in our teacher salaries, a 1.6 increase, about $600 a year. Really, if anything, just a cost of living adjustment, the kind of thing that a lot of professionals get every year, but certainly long overdue. So we're glad we were able to do that. It's a step in the right direction, but we have to do more. So I want to switch subjects for just a second and talk about testing. Who loves taking tests? Raise your hand, because some people do. My husband does. No one? One? Okay, so see, some people do, but not a lot of us. But how many of you ever had to take a test to get through a program or to be eligible for a job or to earn a certificate or something like that? How about a driver's license? Did you take a test at a driver's license? Yeah. So tests are kind of just a fact of life. They're one way that we use in order to consistently determine whether or not people have sort of a minimum set of skills. And we want our nurses and our electricians and our teachers and our drivers to have, we want to know that we have a pretty good sense that they have at least this certain level of knowledge. And so I think too often testing becomes sort of, we blame it for all the bad things that happen in our lives. We sort of focus on something like that. They do serve a very important purpose, and we use them, and they help us to improve instruction. They help us to make sure that if your child is doing really well in a subject, that we're able to challenge him or her and help them to achieve more, or if he or she's struggling, that we can intervene and make sure that we're doing something about it before it's too late. So they play a very important role. But when we have too much testing going on, or when we have, overlap of testing, or if we're having kids take a test and then we're not using the results from that test, so it's just a pointless exercise, that's when it's like unnecessary. We have to put our foot down and say we're not going to do this. So I hope you saw the announcement last summer that we cut, along with a team of teachers, we cut the testing that was district required in Tulsa by half. So it was a really big cut, but we're confident that we were able to do that in a way that made sure that we still were going to have tests that we were using and that were helping us to improve instruction. And then we saw nationally this week, I don't know if you saw, but that President Obama came out and started talking about testing too. So I'm pretty sure he was watching Tulsa and he saw that, and then he was like, we should do what they're doing. Just saying, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So in addition, I mentioned, we were talking about teachers' salaries. Teachers also, they need to be compensated like professionals. That just has to happen. At the same time, they're not doing what they're doing because of the money. They're doing it for students. And, but their fulfillment matters tremendously, and that the working conditions and what they're experiencing comes into play tremendously when it comes to being able to keep and retain and attract teachers to our district. And so that's something that we really need to work on. I've been able to work closely with the Tulsa Classroom Teachers Association and with other teacher groups to try to improve the morale within the Tulsa Public Schools, because this job is really hard. I don't know if how many of you all have taught or been married to a teacher or maybe the child of a teacher, but until you've had that close relationship, you don't really see how truly hard teachers work. I always tell people, it's not just a career, it's a lifestyle. It's like everything a teacher is about what they're doing for their students, and they really never turn themselves off in that way. So one of the things that we did in order to focus on teacher morale was to work with Fox 23 to create the Golden Apple Awards. Has anyone seen these yet? Yeah, good, a few. So they're still pretty new. I think we've aired 3 of them so far, but they're every week on Saturday morning. They air on Saturday morning, but what they're showing is that during the week, we have surprised a teacher in his or her classroom. So we go in and they're super shocked, and Shauna and I walk in along with the anchor and a couple of television cameras. 1 minute it's a normal day, you're with your class, you barely see adults usually at all, let alone adults with television cameras and suits. And so it's really fun, and you can see them online as well. And so I just ask you to, nominate someone if you know someone great, or next time you run across a teacher, just make sure they know how much you appreciate what they're doing. So real quickly about the future, and then I'll let y'all continue. And that is that we are in the process right now of developing our new 5-year strategic plan. So the plan that the district has been operating under is sunsetting right now, and we have the chance to say what is going to be our path for the next 5 years. And this is hugely important, and we're really excited about it. We've had thousands of people participate through surveys, and we've had hundreds of people participate through these community forums that we're having. We had one last night at Hale. We had, I don't know, probably about 100 people there. It was awesome. There's one more. So if you haven't come yet, you can go. There's one more. It's next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock at Booker T. Washington. And it's the last one, at least of this kind. We'll have other events in the future, of course, but it's the last one of its kind, so for the strategic plan. But the other thing that was exciting that happened this week is that just yesterday, actually, the Board of Education released the first draft of the mission and vision and core beliefs, which really make up the bones of the strategic plan. And so I just wanted to share with you the newly draft proposed version of the vision. And it says, Tulsa Public Schools is the destination for extraordinary educators who, along with an engaged community, ignite the joy of learning and prepare every student for the greatest success in college careers and life. There's something about that I hope that you noticed, and it is that we are putting our teachers first. There's been a lot of talk in the last decade or so, and I've been one of the biggest talkers about how we have to put our students' needs first. It's not about the adults, it's about the kids. And that is absolutely true in terms of our policy making and our budget decisions, and everything that we do has to be about our students. But our students can't be their best unless our teachers are at their best, and they'll be at their best when we're doing our job to support them. So we're excited about that change. And then the mission draft says it's our mission to inspire and prepare every student to love learning, achieve ambitious goals, and make positive contributions to our world. So you can see that igniting the joy of learning and loving learning is a really important part of school. We need our students to achieve. We need them to be proficient and skilled and able to apply what they learn. But we also need them to like school. We know we have too many students who just stop coming. We have a 63% graduation rate in Tulsa, Oklahoma, folks. 63%. We know that most of the jobs, 65% of the jobs by 2020 will require not just a high school diploma, but also some sort of advanced, either a certificate or technical school or college. So we need much more. We need our students graduating from high school at minimum, and then we need to make sure they're successful afterward. So the core beliefs I'm not going to go through, but I'll just tell you it's about believing in our students, about the importance of our teachers and principals, about our community and the role that you all play. It also talks about equity and the importance of equity, and then the importance of our team working together. So we're really excited. The drafts are up on our website. There's a survey that you can take to give your feedback on this draft. And I just encourage you to be a part of it. It's one of my favorite things to do is come and talk to people, but I also like to hear from people. I did it again, I'm sorry. So I don't know, I kind of talked long, so I'm not sure if we'll have a chance to do any exchange or if I don't know if y'all even do that. It's kind of a big group, but 5? Okay. But before we do that, I just want to tell you a funny story from when I was talking about how we were all working at the schools to try to help them get ready when we had some schools that we didn't finish the construction in a timely, early enough. And I was at one of those schools, and I was walking down the hall with a teacher, and there was a little girl with us who's a 4th grader, and her mom was a different teacher at the school. And we were walking, you were there, weren't you? Shauna was there. So we were walking along, and the lady was just going on and on and on about, she was so, because I think it was a Saturday, and she was like, I'm so grateful that you came out and you're helping us. It's just amazing that you're here and all this. And the little girl goes, with like no sarcasm at all or anything, she goes, isn't that her job? Isn't that awesome? I was like, yes, it is absolutely my job. So you can imagine she was kind of like Isabel, just this like, super smart little girl, and she's just like, hello, it's her job. So I love my job. It's my dream job. I'm thrilled to be here, thrilled to be with you. So it sounds like we can take a few minutes if anybody has any comments or questions or anything like that.
Love the Golden Apple Award. Is there any chance that every so often we could throw in a retired teacher and recognize them? I think every one of us in this room has had some teacher that made a huge impact on our lives. And
Right.
some are long gone, but some of them are still living.
Right. Right. So I don't know how the acoustics are out there, but he was saying that he was loving the Golden Apple. I think you were one of the people who raised your hand whether you'd seen it, and was suggesting that we consider allowing people to nominate retired teachers as well as teachers who are currently in our classrooms. So I would hereby nominate Mrs. Gaddis in that category, my algebra teacher. So yeah, thank you. Great idea. I am so thrilled that we have such a variety of choices within our school district for students. I'm a big believer that not all schools are the right school for all kids. And so I love that Tulsa allows students and families to choose the school that's best for students, and not just the magnet schools, but we have other kinds of schools, the demonstration academies, and even neighborhood schools. Families can choose, if there's space within them, can choose a school that either for convenience purposes, maybe it's close to grandma or close to, where they go after school, or it's close to their job, or for whatever reason. And I think that that kind of choice is really important. And so, as an example, Edison is one of only 4 high schools that offers an advanced placement diploma, not just advanced placement classes, but an actual diploma, and there's a capstone project that they have to do and everything. That's really special, and it's so important that we continue to have opportunities for students who are academically really strong, like we do in our magnet programs. But we also have our immersion programs at Zero and at Eisenhower. I'm a huge fan of immersion. I'm also a huge fan of dual language programs, and we have, I think, 6 elementary schools that have dual language programs. So I'm very interested in growing those programs within Tulsa Public Schools so that more students have access to those kinds of language programs. And so I'm a big fan of that kind of school choice within a district.
What's the ratio between what portion of your budget goes directly to the classroom versus administrative costs?
Our administrative costs in Tulsa Public Schools is about 3%. Which is pretty reasonable. It's pretty consistent with what's expected in sort of our field. I think there's a lot of perception that there's more administration than there actually is. We actually have fewer, even if you just look at school leaders, we don't have as many assistant principals as places where I've lived and worked before. And so we have principals, for example, who are supervising, 35 teachers. And that's a lot of people to supervise directly. And we have very high expectations for the kind of coaching and observations and walkthroughs and, conferences and really helping people to grow and develop. So it's not just the kind of principal where you're just there to solve problems. They have a very big role in leading the school instructionally. So we have a pretty low administrative overhead. The vast majority of our budget goes to our personnel, our teachers, because that's what we do. We're a school. We teach.
Tell us about our success with charter schools, and what's your opinion on expanding charter schools?
Yeah, sometimes people will ask me if I am a fan of charter schools or if I support charter schools, and my answer to that is always, I'm a fan of great schools, period. It makes no difference to me what kind of school they are. We have to make sure that our schools are improving. And we have the Tulsa School Board. You may or may not know that schools can be, well, let me start with a charter school. So a charter school is a public school, And they are a public school, though, that runs independently from the school district. So they hire their own people, they make their own decisions about, you know, how they instruct and that type of thing. They do have to follow the standards, and they do have to follow the laws and regulations and things like that. But there are different ways in Oklahoma that a school can be chartered. So in Oklahoma, institutions of higher education can charter a school. And so there are some schools in Tulsa that are chartered by, let's say, like Langston University, for example. But there are 6 in Tulsa that are chartered by our board, the Tulsa Board of Education. 3 have been here for a while, a TSAS, KIP, and Tulsa Legacy, used to be Tulsa Lighthouse Academy. And then we have 3 brand new charter schools that just opened this year. And our 3 schools that have been in place for some time are model schools. They are at least 2 of them in particular have just been demonstrating amazing results. And one of them was named a Blue Ribbon School this year by the U.S. Department of Education. And Tulsa Legacy, used to be Tulsa Lighthouse Academy, has some of the highest growth in student learning of any school in the city. So there are things that we can learn from those schools. But to me, it's not just a matter of charter schools, which I certainly would welcome new applications for charter schools and work with the board to consider any application. But I'm also very focused on how do we support the teachers within the traditional Tulsa public schools to be innovative, to make the kinds of decisions and do things differently that they think are best for their students in the same way that our public charter schools are able to do. And then how do we learn from what our public charter schools are doing and do more of what's working in our schools? And that's one of the purposes of charter schools, is to try new things. But we need to have more of those opportunities for innovation within Tulsa public schools. And we're already starting that, actually. So we just launched a project called Kickstart. And we've had 2 groups of folks going through this Kickstart effort, and they are looking at using technology differently and just rethinking classroom structure and how technology can help us to totally change the way that traditional instruction is done.
Which community organizations do you work with the most in Tulsa, and from where you've been elsewhere, what model organizations have existed in other cities to support TPS?
We have a number of them. First of all, there's a huge number of volunteers in Tulsa. When I go out to schools, I see volunteers all the time who are doing mentoring, they're doing reading buddies, they're doing reading partners. So reading partners would be one. Communities in schools is one. I should look at Kuma, actually, to ask this question. From the Partners in Education through the Tulsa Chamber, there are lots of different companies and organizations, and Kuma's job is to help to partner those together with schools to give them support. The faith-based community in Tulsa is incredibly supportive. This church, as an example, has lots of volunteers. So we have a number of different organizations. Junior Achievement. I'm probably going to leave somebody off. City Year, absolutely. The Growing Together, the City Year and Communities and Schools are all part of kind of a joint effort there. So lots of really great organizations. And the comparison that I would make is kind of what I said earlier, which is part of my incredible enthusiasm and confidence about where we're going as a city with our public schools is because of what I see, this community rallying around our students. And that's what it's going to take, because our teachers can't do it all by themselves. Okay. So I think that's probably all the time you have, and I appreciate y'all including me and being a part of your meeting today. I'm a big fan of Rotary. I've never been a Rotarian, but I am a big fan of Rotary, and really appreciate y'all inviting me out today. So thank you so much.
So thank you, Dr. Gist. What a great segue to what I need to do next, which is to tell you it's our tradition to make the Tulsa Public Schools Superintendent an honorary member of our club. And so So you no longer have to say you've never been a Rotarian. Welcome to our club.
I'm so excited. Thank you. This is super special to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you again, Dr. Gist. All right, for the rest of our meeting today, for our Phones Out, Take Notes segment, I hope you'll mark these upcoming programs and events on your calendars. First, I want to interrupt a second and say a big thank you to all our Business Visitation Day hosts and all those who participated. A thank you to Barney James and the committee and to the Rotary office who all coordinated that. If you went to a Business Visitation Day or hosted, would you stand and let's recognize everyone at once. Thank you again. Next week, our speaker will be Fred Barnes, who has over 20 years of retail distribution experience, and he's currently with Macy's. He will tell us about the fulfillment center in Owasso, which happens to be one of the largest in the world. So it's not just some regular Rotary speaker, in my opinion. And then on November the 11th, we have our Veterans Day program. Please try to come to that. We'll have a lot of special music. We'll have a program on a local gentleman named Jim Chase, who has a great personal story about the USS Oklahoma at Pearl Harbor. And right now, we have a little preview for you from that program. This is a clip of him with a small detail about his story.
The plumb bob slowly stopped its travel, then gradually crept back the other way. The captain didn't say much, but he stayed on the ship the rest of the night. He ordered me to silence on this whole accident. Capsizing that ship again was unthinkable. So I've not told this story until now.
So we will have a video presentation that Katie Johnson and Karen Keith are busy putting together. Karen will narrate a lot of it. It'll be a great program, and it's a story that not many people know and not many people have heard. And it will not be Mr. Chase talking the whole time. It will be something a little bit different than that, but we just wanted to give you a teaser. And then on October the 18th, we'll have a presentation from Becky Dixon, who really needs no introduction. And she will talk to us a bit, I believe, about the Oklahoma Hall of Fame and maybe a little bit about her career, which is always interesting. So mark your calendars now, plan to be there, and maybe even bring a guest. All right, for sponsors, Alicia, who are our sponsors today that we need to recognize?
Their mic's dead, I'm sorry. We have 4 sponsors today. Ms. Terry Heritage with Interim Healthcare, Roger Dunham with Accent Realty, Bob Jack with Manhattan Construction, and Tim Lyons with TTCU. We very much appreciate your sponsorship. We rely on it a lot, and please seek your fellow Rotarians when they have a service that you may need. Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia. Let's thank our sponsors. On behalf of the club, I extend condolences to past President Bob Johnson's family. Bob passed away on Sunday, October the 18th, and the family held a graveside service last week. A memorial service is being planned for later in November, and we'll share those details with you when they become available. Please keep his son, Jeff Johnson, and his nephew, Matt Davis, and the rest of the Johnson family in your thoughts and prayers. There are cards on your tables for you to extend your sympathies to his family and friends. I hope some of you had a chance to watch or at least think about the World Polio Day event that happened on Friday, October 23rd. If you didn't have time to watch it or hear more about it, don't fear. Our Rotary Foundation Chair, Mac Finley's son, is working with us to put together a little video segment of some of the highlights of that, and we'll be showing it in the next week or two, so that should be interesting. A reminder that you're running out of time to buy a cheap IBA table, a cheaper IBA table. They're still cheap. And so this is the end of the early bird discount. I think it's the end of the month, if I recall correctly. And I'm getting a signal from our IBA chair. I cannot. Oh. So you took away all my thunder. I can't scare them anymore and tell them you're running out of time. So you may have more time. We'll tell you when the next new deadline is, but there is a deadline. Thanks for waving your hand. It's important that we let them know that. If you came to Rotary a little early today, you saw Rotarians exhibiting their businesses in the hallway over there. AMC Mortgage, thank you, Chuck. Wilson, Regent Bank, I believe it was Elaine Dishman. Motorsports Tulsa and Hannibal Johnson was there. And we want to remind everybody that they will all be out there in the hallway after the meeting as well, and you can buy a book from Hannibal, for example, and visit the other people at their booths to learn more about their businesses. It's part of the fundamentals of Rotary that we share our businesses with each other to learn more and perhaps even do business with our fellow Rotarians, so please consider that. Remember that during Vocational Month, this month, we have those booths out in the hallway, and make plans to come next week early when we'll have booths from Spirit Bank, Rhonda Daniel, Butler & Butler, Ron and Margaret, Pancratz and Associates, Chris, and First Mate Financial, Jerry Barrientos. So make sure to come. Our next social event with Rotaract will be November 14th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. at the Gatesway Foundation. We will hang Christmas lights for residents. For those of you who like to do quick service projects and quick social events because you're busy in your life, this is perfect. So save the date, November 14th, 10 to 11:30. If you want more information, contact Jeffrey Rudd. Another reminder, if you're interested in joining the group that will be visiting Nicaragua and our Nicaraguan water well project, one of our most noteworthy projects, then remember that it's March 2nd to the 7th, 2016. Contact David Peterson or Brenda Melancon if you're interested. They can answer all of your questions. It's always great to send a group to that and hear about it when they return. Don't miss out on that opportunity that doesn't come along very often. Next week, we'll begin sign-ups to volunteer for our two major holiday fundraisers. That's Salvation Army Bell Ringers on Thursday, December 3rd, and Shop with a Cop on Saturday, December 5th. In regard to bell ringers, I hope we'll have some time over the next few weeks to share a few stories about our experiences there. There are some great, heartwarming stories that all of us have experienced while ringing the bells. I hope we can hear some of those. So be watching for those opportunities and be sure to participate. All right, we have a couple of project announcements. Terry Heritage, you are first to talk about our Adopt a Class, and then Ed and David will come up. So Terry, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. My announcement fits in very well with what Dr. Gist was telling us. You are the most generous people, child advocates, good old boys and gals that I've ever met. We've more than met our goal, the 10th year, to give the teachers at Celia Clinton Elementary School, a very poor school. They don't have a PTA that can do anything for them like Edison and Jenks. But our Rotary is such a good partner in education that we give every teacher 2 gift certificates, one for Apple Learning Center and one for Walmart. This way, they can get the things they need for their classroom and they don't have to do it out of pocket. It helps them to help the children, and they are so grateful when we gave them out. You just see the big smiles on their faces. The other thing I want to mention while I'm up here is Del Snowberger has some gifts for the responsibility parties this Friday, but he can't make it. So if you will raise your hand or see Del so you can take his gifts to the school. The responsibility parties are when the children haven't had to go to the principal's office or haven't done anything bad like you all did in school. But it's a great little program. So I will thank you again, and I'll do this again as long as I'm standing. I might not be able to see, but I can talk and stand. So I'll see you later. Thanks.
As Ed and David make their way up, let me set the stage a little bit. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, maybe even last time we met, that on February 3rd, we'll be having what we call Super Bowl Wednesday here at the club. The Super Bowl has been called a uniquely American event by those who observe it as an item of popular culture and by those who study it as an economic engine and a hallmark of our American behavior. As many or more Americans watch the Super Bowl than watch the president being inaugurated and things of that nature. For me personally, and for many of you, I'm sure, the Super Bowl is a time to connect with family and friends, to ignore our troubles, at least for a few hours, to maybe even in some cases reconnect old friendships, etc. I'd venture to say that whatever you think about sports, and I know we have some members who are not huge sports fans, or whatever you think about the pomp and circumstance of the Super Bowl and that it's overblown, etc., you will agree that the Super Bowl is this. It's an important symbol of our American freedom, and I enjoy that freedom as much as anybody. So we'll be celebrating Super Bowl Wednesday on the Wednesday before the Super Bowl, and now Ed Monette and David Downing are here to tell us about some events leading up to Super Bowl, and Alicia, Super Bowl Wednesday.
You are so correct, sir, that the Super Bowl is probably the most important appointment television event in the year. As an ad agency owner, I know Ron Butler would agree with this. I know Dave Littlefield, if he's here, would agree with this. We aspire to create a Super Bowl commercial. That would be like Nirvana, Mecca for us would be to create a Super Bowl commercial. Which we probably will never get to do. But those that do, this is far more than just creativity, ladies and gentlemen. This is big business. Did you know that in 2015, last year's Super Bowl was viewed by 114 million people? That was just under half of every household in America watched that game. And I'm not going to bore you with all the stats, other stats, but Tulsa is even more interested in the Super Bowl. Last year's Super Bowl was viewed by 53% of Tulsa households. Watch that. Almost 300,000 people watched that commercial. Now, if you were a real big brand, you would be willing to pay the $4.5 million it's going to cost for a 30-second commercial to air nationally. Just to give you an idea, that's a pretty efficient buy. I mean, if you look at it, 114 million people, but, you know, $4.5 million bucks, that's like 4 cents per eyeball. That's a pretty good, you can't buy the News on 6 for 4 cents an eyeball, I can tell you that. Tulsa, 8 cents an eyeball, so it's a very reasonable expenditure. Tulsa, 22 grand, folks, for a spot on this year's Super Bowl. So I don't know, but if I do the math, if I'm gonna spend the $4.5 million plus another $1 million bucks to maybe make a commercial, and that's about what they spend nationally, about $1 million for a Super Bowl spot. That's about $300,000 a second these guys are spending. That's about the money that Jeff makes every day, don't you think? You know, billing is anyway, tell us about the deal, Jeff. I mean, Ed.
Ed, glad to meet you, David.
Hi.
How you doing? Jeff wanted to come up with some little deal to promote and build up the February 3rd meeting, our Super Bowl Wednesday. And we did some exhaustive research. It was just countless hours, fifths, all kinds of stuff. And we determined, we wanted to have our club to determine what they thought was the funniest Super Bowl commercial of all time. Not the greatest, the funniest. If we do greatest, we got all those little tear jerkers and the puppies and all that junk. So we said, no, we want funny. So we've spent so much time and our eyes are glazed over. We've come up with 13 of the all-time funniest Super Bowl commercials. This club, as Alicia's going to explain to you, is going to determine how we come up with that. Now, each week, you're going to be presented with a little trailer. This will be your clue as to...
Rotary Club of Tulsa's funniest Super Bowl commercials of all time.
Your voice sounds incredible, Ed. But you? Did you narrate that commercial? So, as I said, if nothing else, take into consideration the amount of time that I've had to spend with these two researching commercials, and when he says fifths involved, that's an understatement. So every week we're going to see 2 commercials. This will be our bracket. on your table, there will be 2 jars. So the winning commercial will be the jar that has the most money in it. So line your pockets with $20 bills for the next few weeks and help us vote for the best Super Bowl commercial. So when we get down to our final week, the Wednesday before the Super Bowl, we'll reveal the winning Super Bowl commercial. And if you guys can't tell, Super Bowl is really important to Jeff. We've kind of talked about this a little bit. We can't figure out what it is in his psyche, but he's got some deeply passionate feelings towards the Super Bowl. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So we appreciate your participation in it.
So, Alicia, where is the money going? Are you going to buy fifths with it?
Don't worry about it. Yeah. The money goes to the foundation, the club foundation. So our Sarge dollars.
All right, thank you guys. So, to get everyone excited, we thought we would do a little teaser, and I'm going to stick my neck out here because these are not Super Bowl commercials. These are just Jeff's funny commercials that he's told his kids about when they were age appropriate, and my kids roll their eyes. So I've got 2 of my favorites. They are not my absolute favorites, but they're 2 of my favorites that I wanted to play for you. For this first one, I'll admit that this first commercial appeared, I think, 30 years ago, when I was in my 20s, and I was then more inclined to appreciate a beer-fetching dog than I am now. But I still laugh about this one, so here's my first little teaser commercial.
I'd sure like another Stroh's. Oh, wait. Alex, 2 cold Stroh's. Where do you see this? Just open the refrigerator. Just open one bottle. Just open the other. Now he's pouring yours. Now he's pouring mine. Alex, you better be drinking your water.
From one beer lover to another Stroh's.
When I was 25 years old, that was really funny. So for this second one, the place where this ad occurs is intended to be a mystery. I'll tell you where it is after the ad plays. So here's the second. This is short, so listen carefully. It's the second of my favorites.
When I told the folks back home that I was coming to Okter they said, "Where the fox hat?"
I wanted some way to be able to say "Wear the fox hat" from up here without anybody being mad at me. So along with our Super Bowl contest, we'll have some other teasers during the course of the weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. So if you have a favorite you want to put up against mine, I sure hope you do and you should, then let me or Ed or David or Alicia know, and we'll play a couple of those during the year as well. So I hope you are going to enjoy that as much as I will. All right, Alicia, Sergeant at Arms.
Running me ragged. Okay, we'll be quick. I think it's past 1. So first of all, we have a very special happy birthday mom. Oh, crud. Mom, Beverly. Lauren Monette's mommy, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. And Lauren, thank you for sharing her with us today. Here's some beautiful pictures of Lauren and her mom. So we're happy you could be here with us today. These 2 charming fellows participated in the Holy Cross father-son baseball game. That's Jeff Hassel and his son. Jeff graciously gave $50 to give us a little shout out about who won. Do we get any info, or is this it?
I was not on the winning team.
Okay, you were not on the winning team, so he lost. Okay, $100 is what it should cost since you lost, apparently. He's good. Okay, real quick, thank you very, very much. Jeff already said Business Visitation Day was fantastic. We got to go out to Fine Airport. I learned so much out there. Wasn't expecting it. One thing I wasn't familiar with.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yes. You guys know Mike dances a lot. Mike is a dancer, and that's the Fandango. So thank you for sharing that with us. Dave Momper graciously gave $100 to Water Wells. Thank you, Dave, very, very much, in honor of his son. Nick, what? What'd I say? Oh, I meant 1,000. I'm sorry. 1,000. 1,000. Thank you, Dave. Okay, and Dave's coworker, Kathy Gurrell, Dave was honored as the Realtor of the Year, which is really fantastic, and Kathy paid a fine of $100 to share that with everybody. So Dave, congratulations for that, and Kathy, thank you for your kind donation. Jamie, are you here? Jamie's home was in Oklahoma Magazine. This is really fantastic. She paid, actually I just sent it to her and I was like, this is great, I love your home. And she offered to pay $100, so thank you for that. You can't see it, it says the turquoise door on this home gives an idea of the fun design that awaits inside. So I tried hard to get pictures of the inside of her home, and it just wasn't easy. There's no real good way to stalk someone and photograph the inside of her home. I want to see more, but it's a great article. If you read Oklahoma Magazine, check it out. And Jamie, thank you for your kind donation. And that is it.
Thank you, Alicia. Please give a shout out or thank you to all of the volunteers who made the event today possible. It takes more and more every time because of all the crazy ideas that Ed and I and others have, so thank you. So thank you all for attending. When you go out and tell your family and friends about Rotary, I hope you'll tell them about Deborah Gist. And by the way, notice in a salute to the upcoming Halloween, notice our closing music when you leave. We're adjourned.